I'll tell you what, today I know is going to be fire. I have that feeling that today's episode is going to be extra special. It's going to wake some people up. It's going to wake me up. Listen, you thought you were awake at 5:30 in the morning. You thought you were, but there's another level that you're about to go today. I'll tell you. You know why I know that? Because sometimes when things are pushing against you, they're pushing against you. It's pushing against you for a reason. Pushing against you for a reason. I'm tired. I'm not even gonna lie to you. But Russell Shaw dropping some knowledge over on the Morning 5 Planner. It says, therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Russell Shaw, I think that's a scripture. Where's that at in the Bible? Because that is a scripture. I remember being in youth group. And youth groups don't play with this scripture. I remember we had some human videos to it. It was like one of my favorites. Excellent contribution this morning, Russell. Thank you so much for that. It's Friday, February the 2nd, if you can believe it. We have an incredible woman with us today who I have yet to really get to know. I've seen her on the internet. Y'all know her name. You know her, and we're going to go in deep. It's going to be fun. Wake up, share this out. Let's go.
Good morning, and welcome to #Rise and Grind, the #1 morning show in the world filled with motivation, education, and inspiration. I am your host, Glenn Lundy, husband to 1, father to 8, and the founder of the 800% Club, the club designed to help you unlock your full potential. Each episode is filled with celebrity interviews, inspiring conversations, and the strategies you need to get ahead in your career and your life. So grab your pen and turn up the volume, because it's time to rise and grind.
What's going on, y'all? Good morning. It's Friday. It is Friday. I was just telling someone a minute ago, Fridays are so interesting for me because, I still got my routine, my schedule on the weekends for the most part. I'm not gonna lie to you, for the most part. Still work a little bit on the weekends because I love what I do. You know what I'm saying? But Fridays are still something special about it. I still think we had that innate thing when we were kids. It's like, Friday, let's go. Also, Fridays are my absolute favorite, hands down on this show, because this is our opportunity to bring in some powerhouses, learn from them, hear their stories, and we always walk away just so fired up, lit up. Today is no exception. But before we get started, if you're new around here, hello, how's it going? My name's Heather Parody. I am filling in for the amazing Glenn Lundy, who is spending a couple of weeks doing his thing, his networking thing, jumping time zones, traveling the world, living his dreams. But I'm super pumped to be again with you here this morning. We've been talking all week about gratitude and gratitude's role in success. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope it's inspired you to lean in a little bit more to the good and what's right in this world, life, right? Speaking of life, there's this beautiful, dynamic, amazing woman that we're going to get a chance to talk to today. We're going to get a chance to talk to Tina Wilson, STARZTINA. Some of you know her, just saying, the author of this incredible book. We're going to hear all about it. Let's learn a little bit more about her.
If you can get through that, you can get through anything, okay? And at that moment, I knew my life would change forever. Hello, how you doing? Yes. Can we all just stand up really quick because you've been sitting for a minute? Can we all stand up, move our legs around? I am Tina. Otherwise...
Meet Tina, STARZTINA Wilson, a beacon of hope and transformation for women over 40. As a licensed life and health coach, Tina specializes in empowering those who have faced life's toughest challenges.
Here's the edge of their seat. So when someone says, Tina, how did you do? I'm going to say, I had them at the edge of their seat.
Drawing from her personal triumphs over tragedy, Tina guides women on a transformative journey. Her unique approach is grounded in the 5 pillars of transformation: mindset, heart set, nutrition, fitness, and resilience. Tina's mind, body, and soul awakening program isn't just about surviving, it's about thriving. Through her online fitness boutique studio, she merges physical well-being with emotional growth. As an international motivational speaker, Tina's voice resonates across continents. She inspires and educates through her podcast, her dynamic presence on platforms like Clubhouse and Toastmasters International, and her compelling storytelling. Celebrating her latest achievement, the publication of her first book, No More Traumedy, Tina continues to leave a lasting mark in the art of transformation.
I said I need to make a book for anyone who's had some type of trauma or tragedy, because there's no playlist. People don't like to talk about it. Remember, I was with my coach and I'm like, well, this person's got a cool thing. They do motivation, they do finances. I talk about traumedy. That's not cute. He's like, Tina, you make traumedies look good. Yeah.
Tina, STARZTINA Wilson, transforming lives by overcoming one traumedy at a time.
Oh my goodness, I didn't have my mic on. That cracked me up. Trauma ain't cute. That's not cute. We don't want to talk about that. You need to get out of here. What are you talking about? We want to be, motivated and inspired. You're talking about trauma? What's going on with this? Listen, I've heard your name over and over and over again. I told you you're the Clubhouse queen. There is not a day that I think that goes by when people are reading Clubhouse that your name is not brought up. But you help folks transform tragedy to triumph, 20 plus years in fitness, Emmy Award winner, speaker, complete badass. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you. That sounded really good, Heather. I'm like, is she talking about me?
Ooh, yes, you better believe I am. You better believe I am. Listen, I know you have a story. There's a reason that you're putting yourself out there in the world, that you're stretching outside of your comfort zone. You're writing books. You're motivating folks. You're putting out a ton of content, working out, inspiring people right afterwards. I was looking over at your YouTube. You have a ton of shorts and reels and all. I don't know what they call that over there, but tell me what happened in your life to get you here, to motivate you enough to leave outside of, because what we do here with content creation, communication, getting books out there, starting stuff, it takes some effort. It takes some work. And usually you have to be motivated by something deep, deep, deep down, your why, as they call it, right? So we start wherever you want to start, but I'm really excited to get to know you.
I love it. I'm going to start right in the center with the name of the book, Traumedy. So I believe that God has gifted me with various traumedies in my life. And for me, a traumedy is when the energies of a trauma and a tragedy collide. When these two instances occur, excuse me, when these two instances occur, life-changing experiences occur. And I realized when I was going through my head over my life, what happened to me. And that's when I was like, wow, a change has got to come. So 2016 was my biggest traumedy. My son, who was 21 years old, extremely talented, was murdered. And we still don't know who did it. But I realized at that moment when it happened, because of all the things that happened in my past, I could take the road to the right and just never talk, stay in bed, be depressed. Or I could go down the other road and push through. And I decided right after it happened, I had to push through. And it's been 8 years now. On February 26th will mark 8 years that my second boy is gone. And this community right here, Breakfast with Champions, if you're watching this, you're not here, on Clubhouse Monday through Saturday. And it motivated me. Like you said, we want to get motivated, right? But then that leaves. But this community, they educated me on how to keep my mindset going. And then the inspiration. Last year, Heather, let me tell you, was absolutely amazing in my career because I was around all these champions, right? So Mary Lynn did a podcast. So I want to do a podcast. My coach was telling me about traumedy and writing a book and all this stuff. Dr. Fred, I'm not sure if you heard of him. He was my coach and he was talking to me about traumedy. And he's the one who was like, trauma, you make it look good, Tina. Because I was like, not really excited about it. I was a little embarrassed, if I'm being honest, when I talked about what I did. Because like you said, putting myself out there. So all of the past things, that's what motivated me to push through. Because I saw a lot of people, especially women, that had gone through traumas and tragedies, and they were miserable, they were sad. So that's my deep, deep why right there, Heather.
Wow. Wow. I did not know that. So much more respect for you knowing that, my friend. I'm going to go deep with you real quick. Let's just kind of get the elephant out of the room, because when I hear that as a mama, I think, where do you put that pain? Because I don't imagine it goes away, right? And for you to be able to be proactive and fight anger and XYZ, I know it's used as a driving force, and that's kind of how folks, sometimes talk about it in the motivational space. It's just like, kind of, you use the pain as fuel. And I'm curious, like, how you do that when you're feeling all the feels. Like, what have you learned over? And I'm sure it's a continuum. I'm sure it's something that you're going to be figuring out, navigating through probably for the rest of your life. But if someone else is like really new in it, whatever their trauma is, whatever their pain is, and they're hearing these folks like you, you can flip this around, you can use this as your message, trauma to triumph and all this stuff. And they're like, but what do I do with that pain right now? Man, that's a big question at 5:45, but let's go.
I got it for you. I got you. I'm going to turn around. So this is what my book looks right here. And the cool thing about the book, when I was writing it, Ramon had said to me, well, who is the book for, Tina? And I pretty much said, it's for anyone and everyone who's gone through some type of trauma or tragedy, because at the back of the book, I share all the things that I've done over the past 8 years that has pushed me through it. And I love how you said, this is something that I'm going to have to go through the rest of my life, because for some crazy reason, I thought I'd be okay after 5 years, after 6 years. But being 8 years today, coming up, it feels like it just happened last week. And there's various things I've done over the years. And it started with perhaps therapy. Yoga definitely changed my life when I went for my yoga teacher training, but from making bracelets during COVID, because to help keep me grounded, stones, chakras, all that sort of stuff. And sometimes I'd use 1 or 2, 3 or 4. And it's a constant, I don't want to say battle, but constant journey. It's a journey. So I realized last month, every February and every August are extremely emotional for me. It's funny, Heather. Well, not funny. I remember a couple of years ago, I got pulled over by the cops because when it first happened, it happened on a Friday night at about 9:15. So for the first 2 months, every Friday night, I had to be at the shop because it happened to have a sneaker shop. He owned a sneaker store. And this particular Friday night, I'm racing, and the cop pulls me over, and I'm like, I gotta get there. And I told him what was happening, and he said, Miss, I would advise that you don't drive on this day, because every February, every Friday night, like, something crazy would happen to me. So it's a journey. 8 years now, I realized last month, okay, February, I decided to take a social media hiatus. Now, girl, let me tell you, I love Instagram. It's like therapy for me. I'm having fun. So it varies from person to person. And I would suggest, if you're going through some type of trauma or tragedy, surround yourself with the people around you. Of course, you don't want to be around people. When it first happened to me, my girlfriend, she's like, oh, you should hang out with my stepmom. She lost her son, blah, blah. Like, no, I want to be alone. That's the worst thing you can do. Your vibe is your tribe. And when I say your vibe, that's your vibration, right? My vibration is here. It's like boom, 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 boom. When I walk in a room, I'm attacking it. But there are those days where I'm just kind of like, oh, and it's all about movement, Heather. That's why I think I'm so passionate about fitness. I'm a fitness professional. I run an online fitness boutique studio. Monday through Saturday, we have classes, 6 a.m. And last week, I was like in a little funk. And my daughter, Divinity, she's amazing. I try to cover it up for her, because the first few years I poured all into her, and she was like she was the only person I could really talk to. So I call her, I'm like, hey. Oh, I didn't say hey. I was just like, hello. Because normally it's like, hey, how you doing? And she's like, what's going on? I'm like, I'm fine. And she's like, get up off the couch. And I'm like, I don't feel like it. And pretty long story short, she did this activation, that's what we call it, where it's a movement and it's breath work, and it's, just really getting it out of your system. And that's what it is. When you're going through a trauma or tragedy, it stays stuck in your body and you have to move to get it out. I've heard that our bodies, we have 7 generations of pain in ourselves.
Oh, you're
So
starting
that's
to
why,
preach. You're starting to preach. Keep going. This is good. This is so good.
well, girl, every year I learn something new. And I'm just like, God, what are you doing? And with this book, let me tell you, this book was originally in my mind for women. The day that it launched, this girl from Breakfast with Champions, and this is why I love this community so much. Her name is Babs, the vocal coach. And she hit me up and she's like, Tina, there's children getting shot, whatever in schools. I don't watch the news at all, so I had no idea this. And she said, you should go to a college or whatever to share your book. So I'm in Rahway, I'm in New Jersey right now. So I went to the superintendent's office because after the incident with my son, I went to all his friends and I'm like, what did he do? What did he say? And they said he told them if he ever died, he wanted a program named after himself. So I started the Molly Gaines Foundation, which for 6th and 7th graders.
Wow.
That's the same way how we were able to win an Emmy Award. So we were always sharing his story, anyone who would listen, and it was very popular. And they did a documentary on it and it won an Emmy Award. So when I went to the middle school recently for the book, I said, I want to help the children. I want to speak to them. Girl, be careful what you wish for, right? Be careful what you wish for, you just might get it. 2 weeks ago, I spoke at 2 schools. I've got a whole program. So something that I thought that was designed for adults, I'm making a new book and it's going to be no more trauma for kids. And when I did the assembly, it was amazing. I broke it down into 3 sections. I had them first share their feelings. If adults have issues sharing their feelings, what do you think about children? So I got this cool little emoji board. I should have brought it up here with the different faces. And I asked the children, how are you feeling? And then from that section, I went over to the I am statements and I had them write on post-its, I am, because some of them didn't know what it was. And we shared that. And then lastly, I gave them some tactics of how to push through their pain, whether it's, someone bullying them. And we did breath work. I don't know if you do that. I know you do
Oh,
the yoga
yes. You
laughter.
are, like I said, I'm loving this. You just keep going. Like, this is the real stuff. Real
It is.
stuff.
It is. Yes. So I don't even know what your question was, but oh, the trauma, how do you get through? It changes. So that's what pushes me through. That's what gets me up every morning. It's like, so that I can change the world. I don't want his death to be in vain. And my daughter also says, yo, ma, he's not going to want you getting fat, sitting on a couch doing nothing. He's up there, get to work, mom, let's do this. So I just get inspired by him and knowing that I'm changing the world. That's my big corny dream, is to change the world one person at a time. And if I can do that with my story, I'm going to keep sharing it and sharing it and sharing it.
Well, I will say that's not a corny dream. That's a reality. And what's happening right now, what you just shared is so freaking powerful. Not only are you using your story, but you're going in deep to the real stuff, because talk about like generational trauma and energy and all this stuff. We're not taught this growing up. And I just recently, over the past couple of years, have started to dig in and learn a little bit about that. Because what ends up happening is, I'll speak from my experience. It feels like, oh, this is just me, and this is something wrong with me, as opposed to really understanding the weight of everything that's going on. It's not just situations. There's, like you said, a legacy of weight sometimes that you carry, and when you're not taught how to navigate through that, when you are hit with something traumatic, man, it could just totally break you. So you are setting these people up, man, for success. These kids, it's so freaking cool. I want to hear about the movement part. And then I want to circle back to community. I got a lot of questions for you. But to get to the movement part, because this is something that was just recently taught to me about how you can shift your energy through that movement. I mean, there's like this, no offense, Tony Robbins, no offense, I love you, dude, but like kind of the corny mentality, of like, your state and all that. And I just thought he was a hyper, rich dude who, was too excited about things. But there's actually a lot of science behind it. And there's a reason, like you said, you lean into the fitness part. You have a story there too. So I just threw up all over you, wherever you want to tackle that piece. But let's talk a little bit about the fitness and the movement and the importance of that.
Awesome. So you said this in the very beginning of the interview. You said your why. So when I first started sharing my story, I thought my main story was about my son because it was like the hardest thing for me. But then when someone actually spoke to me, like, what do you do fitness? Well, why do you do fitness? And I believe this is for everyone in the world, how they can figure out what they're passionate about, what their purpose is. And I think of it like an onion. So let's have an onion right here. And you say, well, I love fitness. Peel it down. Why? Because I want to lose weight. I want to look good. peel it down. And I kept peeling it and peeling it and peeling it, Heather. And I realized the main reason why I love fitness so much was because my father died at 49 years old from a massive heart attack. Something that could have been
Wow.
prevented because of food, exercise, and he wasn't even fat. Like looking at him, oh, he's healthy because he was a construction worker. So that is my deepest why is for the fitness. And then it just goes on. Like I said, the traumatides, that's just two of, you know, again, God has gifted me. He loves me. That's how I have to look at it. And my relationship with God is kind of like this every now and again. Like, and I had an
You're
awakening
preaching
of
again. You're preaching again. I feel it. I know. I know. I know.
I had an awakening a few months ago. So my favorite church, Agape in Rahway, New Jersey. So Heather, someone wrote in the chat here, like avoiding the pain. So the first year it happened, 2 weeks prior to my son's murder, I had met a guy, and a year later we got married. I would not suggest that to anyone. I wanted to get married the same day my son was murdered. My daughter's like, "You can't do that, mom." So I got married the day before. Again, trying to get rid of this negative feeling of the death of my son and move it forward with a marriage. I
Right.
do not suggest that
Right.
you do that, people. You have to face the pain. I got off on a tangent and lost my mind. I'm throwing it back to you.
No, 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 no. This. Oops. I'm sorry. My sound just messed up for a second. What I'm hearing, we're talking about the movement side, the fitness side to things, the getting in community, all this stuff. And what keeps coming up for me, my friend, is I can't. I don't want to. I know, quote in my mind, this is the stuff I'm supposed to do. And I'll be like super transparent with you. The thing that I do, I isolate. I am an isolator. I want to be alone. There's a lot of reason for
Right.
that. And so being able to be in a position where you get on the clubhouse call, you let your daughter come over and get you to move, and you start taking care of your fitness and making some of these necessary changes. I'm just curious, from like the couch to the community, the bridge right there, how you've been able to make those right decisions, because I know what I'm supposed to do. Like, I have the checklist, I have the books, I have the motivational podcast queued up, I have all of that stuff. But man, when my habits, because sometimes they're like ingrained behavioral habits that we don't even recognize, are just so freaking strong, we feel defeated sometimes, right? Like, oh, this is just me, this is whatever. How are you able to push past that and help other folks, break those, what the Christian folks would call the chains that bind you? You know what I mean? The chains that bind you. Behaviorally, how do you help people navigate that?
So you're looking at someone who's 8 years into the game. If you would have come to me 2 or 3 years ago, or maybe even a year ago, it's a journey. And I think people seeing me and just being totally open and honest about how I'm feeling, what I'm going through. And I say this all the time, your vibe is your tribe. The people that have been around me since this happened are just sent from God. That's all I can say. And I always say people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. So when I have someone in my life that brings me joy, that brings me life, I'm holding on to them. I'm holding on to them tight because I don't know when they may be gone. And it may not be murder, it may not be death, it may be they got a new job and they moved away. It might be that they whatever, you don't know. So the number one thing for me is my tribe. And when it first happened, it was my church. My church was so intricate. And my running group, I was doing like over 20 classes a week. So I had my Spartan crew, my New York Sports Club, and that's what pushes me through. So if anyone's watching this and they're going through something, like you said, the couch, that was me yesterday. I was just like, I don't want to go anywhere. And I was supposed to be going, I was going to cancel my plans. Don't cancel the plans. Lean in on God. The past few months, I've been diving even deeper. And it's wild, Heather. This community here, Breakfast with Champions, when I first came in, they were talking a lot about faith. And I was like, are they serious? Like a lot, not a lot, but more than the average community. And Angeline Moore, she's like so amazing. I call her my prayer goddess. She's always supporting me. She's helped me get even closer to God. And now today, let me tell you, girl, I'm listening to and reading scriptures in the morning, at night, watching sermons. And that's why for the month of February, I decided to just be still, as I told you, that social media hiatus, unless it's work, because sometimes in life, people are like this. They're moving, they're going,
Preach.
and you gotta pause. God, what are you trying to tell me? Every morning when I wake up, I say, give me the clarity, give me the strength to do what you want me to do, not what I want. Because for years, Tina's got to do this, Tina's got to do this, but no, it's all God's plan. So anyone who purchases this book right here, it tells a little bit of my story, talks about trauma, tragedy, the monkey effect, which is I love right here. The monkey effect is when someone reaches down and pulls someone up. And that's what I'm doing right now. If you've gone through domestic violence, attempted suicide, death of a family member, whatever, been there, done that. I'm reaching down to teach you what I did to push through it so you don't have to go through the pain. You can say, okay, I've gone through that. So I'm rambling again. Back to you.
What was the hardest chapter for you to write? Maybe the hardest chapter to circle back to and dig into when you're speaking. Is there anything that stands out for you there?
It would chapter, I would say the intro. This whole book, girl, let me tell you, was extremely challenging. The corny, I don't want to say corny, the technical stuff, that was easy. But when I had to share, for example, the beginning shares my story a little bit. I don't go into it a lot because every time I got into the book, I had to relive it. So I had to feel it. I had to see it. I saw me outside in New Jersey, race coming down speeding down the highway, jumping out the car. It's 20 degrees. It's cold. The yellow and black construction tape, me having no idea what's going on, seeing, people outside, police cars. So when I'm writing this book, it's like I'm here. So I had to like take a break and come back. And
That
then
makes
again, just
sense.
pushing and so many times, can't tell you how many times I quit, girl. I was like, I can't do this. And then I had that imposter syndrome thing happening again. I'm
Oh,
like, who
yeah.
are you, Tina, to write this book? You're not a doctor, you're not a writer all the time. And so I again leaned in on my family, meaning my
Mm.
community. And one of my clients, she's in the book, Aisha, and she's a psychologist. So I said, you know what? You want to do a chapter in the book? So she gave me her perspective of trauma and tragedy. And then
Mm.
Dr. Dale, that she's an emotional intelligence coach because I love learning all the time. So there's tactics in there that teach you how the brain works and all that wonderful stuff.
Oh,
So that was the hardest chapter for me, the very beginning.
that makes a lot of sense. You said that in chapter 4 you talk a little bit about the community element. Is there anything in there specifically that you want to share based off of what we
I
talked about?
I do. So chapter 4 is all about the monkey effect. And in the back of the chapter, I have a photo and it's absolutely beautiful. I'm not sure if you guys can actually see it here on the screen. And
Yes,
as I
beautiful.
mentioned, oh, yay, 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 yay. So in this photo, as of 2021, Ain't Heavy is the longest selling, most recognizable work of art in Black art history. And we know, this being Black History Month, that's who I want to recognize this month. Uh, it's showing someone reaching down, pulling their hands up. And on page 53 in the book, I talk about my BWC family, where talking about the monkey effect, several people from my BWC family motivated me and educated me on how to do it. And lastly, inspired me to do a podcast. So that's the chapter there that talks about that whole thing. And you always want to surround yourself. I say surround yourself. Surround yourself with people that are going to uplift you. They're going to inspire you. They're
I
going to
love your
motivate
energy.
you.
This is awesome.
All that sort of stuff. So we love BWC. Get on Clubhouse and join us.
That's incredible. So tell me, like, moving forward from here, you've written the book, you have a strong support system, you're traveling, you're speaking, you're coaching. I mean, you've done a hell of a lot in just a few years. What do you feel in God's calling you to next? And do you have any kind of resistance around that right now? Because I always picture like, and again, this is just my experience. You can tell me like, you're crazy. Like I don't experience this at all. Like that's totally cool. But like for me, I know sometimes I always picture like an ocean, and you walk into the it's covering your ankles and it's covering your knees and you get to where it's to your hips, and the more you keep walking the more that water kind of pushes you. And so it's so interesting that I feel like the more we kind of pursue calling and what God has for us, like the more sometimes resistance comes and so forth. And I don't know if you experience that or not, but you've accomplished again so much in such a short amount of time. What's next for you, and kind of like what's the again, back to these cheesy sayings that were just
Mhm.
implanted in me growing up in the South. But the new levels, new devils, and stuff. So, where are you at right now with your calling?
I wish I could answer that question. I really do, girl. But I have no idea. In Tina's world, I have everything written down. I have everything planned. Okay, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this. But then things always change, at least for me. And I'm adaptable to change. Like I said, when I did the book, I mainly did it because I love speaking. When I share my story last weekend, you hear Christina Howard's name on here a lot. She had an event in South Carolina, and I had the opportunity, it was for youth, and I had the opportunity to speak to some of the parents. And then I recently created a new class, fitness class. It's called Mind, Body, and Soul Activation, because when I get in that slump, it's like, okay, what do I do? I think about that. So when my daughter did her activation with me, I said, you know what? I have to do this for myself. So I did it with the ladies at her event, and it was like, whoa, changing. So again, what's next? I'm like this. This is me. I feel like there's like pipes of light coming through. God is just pouring through, and I just have to be quiet and be still. And that's my answer. I don't know. It's whatever
What
he
a
gives
cool
me. In
place to
my
be, though,
world,
too. You're open, and who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Listen, I have another question for you. That's the question we all love. So I need everybody to queue up and get ready and help me out, because sometimes I forget some steps, and you might need to comment and fill me in. So y'all get ready, get your mountain emojis ready. Just throwing that out there. It's a little bit of little hint. But before then, I want to acknowledge you, not only for showing up this morning, but showing up every day for yourself, for other people, for being brave enough to lean into such a deep, deep pain that is everyone's freaking nightmare. And you've been able to not only walk through that with yourself and keep your head above and improve yourself through that with your health and your mindset, but also the sacrifice. We mentioned that scripture at the beginning of being a living sacrifice. I mean, that's literally what you've embodied. And to be able, like you said, write when you write and you're having to relive some of those most painful moments. I know you're doing that for other people to help them. And what a beautiful, beautiful human being that you are. I've never talked to you before, and I'm just so touched by you, and I'm getting all teary eyed. But man, just from one woman to another, mad respect, mad respect. I want everybody to go pick up this book right here. No More Traumedy. Where can they pick it up? Where can they grab it? Where can they stalk you online? And then we're going to go to the mountain.
Yes. So everywhere from Facebook, YouTube, I am Stars Tina with a Z is how you can follow me. My YouTube is where I want everyone to go, Heather, because I'm loving giving back to the community, and to actually get the book on my websites or Amazon. No More Traumedy right there to purchase it.
Let's go. So if somebody will drop that in the comments, if not, I will do it right when this is over. So everybody can go pick that up. The YouTube channel where the book is at. Here, oh boy, I see the mountains coming. I see the hearts coming. Now here's where I get dramatic. I don't know if you know this about me, Tina. I don't know if you know, but your girl's a little dramatic. So we're going up to a mountain, and it's not an ordinary mountain. No, 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 no. This is the biggest mountain in the entire world. It's so big that everyone in the entire world, every human being, young and old, is standing around this mountain. And what are they doing, folks? What are they doing? They're chanting your name. Tina Wilson, STARZTINA, whoa, whoa. They are pumped, man. They are pumped that you're here. They heard this interview. They're like, this is our woman. We want to hear from you. We need this one life message from you. No pressure at all. Not a big deal. But somebody hands you, I'm going to say, a golden microphone, y'all. I'm throwing in a little bit more detail to this because I think this woman needs, oh, we got the hairbrush. Lord Jesus, here we go. Here we go. She's ready. She's got the golden hairbrush. She has 2 minutes to tell the entire world one thing. What is it?
The one thing that I want to share with you today is look in the mirror. And when you look in the mirror, don't look at the outside. I want you to go deep, deep, deep into your soul and figure out, what are you feeling? What are you experiencing every day? And when you do that, I want you to imagine the person you want to be in the future. Maybe that's the best wife. And I want you to dream so big and never give up on your dreams. Now, when you're looking in that mirror, you might feel a little pain. You might see some things you don't like from your childhood, from when you were a teenager. And I want you to just breathe at that point. That's the one thing that's going to push you through all the pain. That's the one thing that's going to get you motivated. That's going to get you inspired. So today, I leave you with the one thing to look in the mirror to see who you are and what you've gone through, and then push through that pain with breath work. That's the one thing that you can do every single day that's free and makes you feel amazing. Once you do that, you can dream a little bit bigger. You can visualize it. You can feel it. So that is what I share with you today so that you can do a little bit of what I want to do, which is change the world, the ripple effect. So this message, if it affects one person, I want you to share it with someone else and then someone else. I am amazing. You are amazing. Let's change the world.
Let's change the world. What was that? What was that, y'all? I told you this morning was going to be incredible. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. Y'all go pick up this book right here. No More Traumedy. Subscribe to her YouTube channel. I'm so excited to see where God is going to take this woman, her mission, all the work that she's doing. Woo, 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 woo. Man, I wasn't ready for that, y'all. I wasn't ready. Thank you for being here this week. Thanks for showing up. One of the things I hope that you took home from what was just shared is how important community is and how important you are to this community, your role. The smallest thing, the smallest gesture, the smallest check-in could literally change someone's day. You have no idea what energy state people are in, and reaching out, loving on folks is so, so powerful. And if you're in a spot where you need some loving, I'm going to tell you, from one recluse to another, man, lean in. We need one another. I love you. We'll be back Monday morning at 5:30 a.m. Y'all have a fantastic day. Bye.
So far away, I saw you not so long ago. Was it just yesterday? Got that old feeling that I know. In the dark of the night, I'll be alright. The sun will rise.